Welcome, everybody. I'm going to say welcome again. I probably said that at the start, but now we have a lot more people here. I cannot possibly be able to call each person's name, but I see you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for investing your time in this. I imagine you're here for several reasons. You're interested in the topic. You're just here to support. There might be a few people there just wanting to support, but I'm sure most of you will concern you. So today is about you. Today is about how you listening and how much you then really want to change, or how much you want to start thinking about other, options around career that you haven't thought around. So it's all about you today. We're going to be closing the session with a Q&A. So please, for any of your questions, we'll be very happy to answer. Just hold your thoughts, type it up somewhere, or write a note. We probably wouldn't answer the questions in the middle of the session, but please just, make a note of it. And then when we get into the Q&A session, we'll try and answer as much questions as we can, time permitting. I imagine there might be a few unanswered questions. In that case, we'll take away the questions. If there are a few unanswered questions, we'll take away the questions and we can reach out to you offline around that. So thank you. I'm just quite curious to know where everybody has, everybody is joining from. I'm joining from Kent. I know that Dr. Bola is also joining from the farther part of England. Where it's always raining, isn't it? Where it rains.
Winchester, you mean?
Winchester. And CG is also from our parts. We are both in Kent. So if you put in the chat box where you're joining from, that would be really great. It's always interesting to know, how far reaching you can get with a webinar. Oh, Inkiruka is joining from London. Thank you. So just keep your chats coming in with where you're joining from. There's someone joining Aruna, you're joining from Coventry. Oh, I know Coventry. It's quite popular for the university, isn't it? A university town. Okay, just keep it coming. Tunde Sam, you're joining from Grimsby. Okay, that's interesting. That's a part I've not been to. Right, so talking about our earlier careers and what we do here, we're careers and consulting firm. We do a mix of providing project management services for organizations, providing virtual project support for small to medium-sized companies. But our core service is around, coaching and training people to get into project management. Now, what makes us different? And, they love companies and organizations coming together and doing the exact same thing we do, train people. But what really makes us different? Now, I would say what was different that I know of, and that's not just because I'm quite involved in this. It's also because I've listened to feedback from people that have come through our training. What makes us different really is the fact that we don't just train. We don't do a one-size-fits-all approach. We try to make sure that the way we are training people and coaching people through their career transition is personalized. So you get a lot of one-to-one support. So it's not just a classroom, sit down, get things dished out at you, at all. What we make sure that we're doing is that we're providing hands-on practical training. So there's lots of discussion sessions, there's lots of breakout sessions, there's lots of realistic project management situations and scenarios so that you can relate with it. And outside of that, it's a whole end-to-end support we give. So end-to-end support now is from when you join the training. So if you join the Accelerate Academy, you get trained, to get a role within project management. for a couple of weeks. And at the end of those couple of weeks, we still keep supporting you after the training to actually start to transition into a role. So we support you with things like CV writing. We give bespoke interview coaching. We help you with your personal branding, because all of this kind of, they matter, because all of it has to join up for recruiters to notice you. I'm not going to read these slides verbatim. Obviously, they're meant to be all nice and pretty visually for you guys to kind of have a read through. We would possibly share this out with the webinar attendees after the webinar. But it's just to open you guys up to what we do and how we can help you or support you through your journey. I've already spoken around slide 4, and slide 4 basically says what services we provide. So we got the Accelerate Academy, and we provide a 5 weeks training around project management. We do have weekday classes and we have weekend classes. So for people that work during the week, you have the Saturday class. And for people that work on Saturdays, we are piloting a weekday class that we're going to be trialing from March. So if you're interested in signing up for that, please absolutely let us know in the chat. I'm sure there are people on the chat that will be sharing the links to the brochure as well. If you are interested in reading up the brochure around what our course outline is and what we do, please do look to the Q&A session for the link to the brochure. Tokwe, will you be really kind to share the brochure on the chat, please? Thank you. Now, outside of the training itself, if you were already trained with someone else and you still struggled with, CV writing or landing a job, we're not a closed, we're open to all sorts of people at different points in their journey. So you can also approach us for interview coaching, CV support. And again, if you wanted to reach out for that specifically, do send us a DM on Instagram. I've got a few people on here that will be sharing the Instagram link as well as any of our contact details. So, right, that's really around what we do. If by any chance you're on here and you have a small to medium-sized organization that needs virtual project assistance, we provide that as well. And now we're nearing the end of this part of the whole process so that we'll get to the more fun stuff. And so, this is just telling you guys about what differentiates us, right? Because there are a ton of people that provide training and coaching. And I've had people come back to me where they've had a really bad experience. And what I always advise or ask is, what are you after? You don't just sign up for everything you see online. Do a bit of research, ask questions, ask what their post-training support is, because for some people, they don't have that service. They're more about the volumes they get. They do the training for a couple of weeks, but they're not able to conveniently provide that end-to-end support till you get a role. So within our organization, there's an example of somebody that was going through family situation. And after the training, she just kind of, had to look after her mental health. But we're constantly still reaching out, trying to get her back on track. And she's gotten two offers after that. But my point is, there was that continuous support and coaching and holding. And so if that's what you're looking for, then we're the right organization. Now, if you are someone that you probably don't struggle with transiting careers, and you can do it by just going for a couple of classes, then I would understand. But what I found about most people that have done this is they really do need that support. They really need someone to keep them accountable, and they need someone that just keeps cheering them on. And that's what we're here for. So why choose us? You go through training with us. We help you with your personal branding and your CV writing. We support you with interviews as well. So we do a series of mock interviews, do a series of one-to-one mock interviews as well. And then we then provide you work reference when you start to get job offers. Now, before you get job offers, if you were interested in having a real world project experience, we offer a 3-month work experience placement. That way you can get that experience that you want to just reaffirm what you've been taught in class for the 5 or so weeks. So that's all that, that's all that we offer. Again, this page just has all these details that would be in the chat. So hopefully in the chat right now, we've got our number. So that number you can reach us on. We've got our, Instagram handle as well. So you can follow us on Instagram, and you can also just send us a DM so that we can, we can respond back immediately. Right, so I'm going to stop sharing now so that we can get on to the discussion that we are all eagerly waiting for. So, yes, so I've stopped sharing. Brilliant. So I was just going to find out who else has. I'm just going to find out who else has joined. Thank you, Tokwe. Tokwe, if you can, and thank you, Appy, for sharing the Instagram link. So Nalova says that she can see. So, okay, so everyone could see my screen. I'm just catching up on the chats. Brilliant, brilliant. For people that just joined, thank you for joining. I'm sure as we go, much more people would be joining, and they would be able to catch up with what we're discussing. So now, quickly, I want you guys to have a think, right? We're all here because we might be very excited about technology, or we might not be very excited about technology, but we do know for sure that technology is here to stay. Tech is here to stay. So you can either leverage it or not leverage it. And the way we can leverage it is to ensure that we find ourselves working in the technology industry. Now, most times, we all, at least I used to have this belief that you had to be very technical to work in a technology company, but that's so incorrect. And and that's what we're all here for. Myself, Dr. Bola, and CG, we're basically trying to do today is to dispel all those beliefs and to tell you, actually, this is the possible ways you can do it. And this is what we've done that has worked for us to get into our careers. So we'll be discussing all of that. Now, I want to tell you guys this fact that you guys might be aware of, or you guys might not be aware of. Do you guys know that over 50% of tech companies are looking to recruit. They're actively seeking non-technical candidates for project management roles. So at the end of the day, tech companies are not just looking for the coders and the very technical people. They need people like yourself and myself and our guest speakers to bring their non-technical expertise to the organization. And that fact is according to a Glassdoor report. They are looking for your transferable skills. They are sorting after it. So instead of trying to move away from tech, move towards tech. Now, another thing that really struck me recently whilst I was doing some research is, according to the Project Management Institute, there's a talent gap report. But the key thing that's kept, and I hope it resonates with you as well, it's kept ringing in my head is, by the year 2030, it is expected that worldwide, it is expected that there will be 2.3 million people needed each year to fill out project management oriented roles. So you can see that there's a demand there. This is not a role or industry that there's no demand. There's that demand. The economy might be going through what it's going through, but the demand, the forecast for the demand is still there. So please, hopefully these facts and stats is setting you to start to think around, oh, wow, there's an opportunity that I need to explore. Now, quickly, I'm going to just ask if we can just go to where there's a poll. So we've got a poll that we're meant to, go through. If you just give me a wave or a reaction, if you can see the poll. And the poll has some questions. If you guys can just put in, just select your answers around the poll. So I'm going to start the poll now, and then you guys can just start to select your answers, and I'll share the results very shortly. So whilst we kind of wait for you guys to take the poll, I will just go on and so I've got raised hands. I don't know, you got raised hands. Is that a lagging hand? If you wanted to share something, are you able to drop it in the chat, please? Aruna. Okay. I think Aruna has dropped his hands now. I just want to be sure that you're fine and you don't need anything from here. Okay. Right. Okay, cool. All right, that's great. So whilst we're waiting for the results of the poll to come in, I don't want to say the results yet, just in case we've not all put in our answers around the poll. I'm just going to introduce our guests. Obviously, when we go further into our discussion, they would talk around their backgrounds, but I'm just going to do, a really quick introduction. So, just as expected, this session is around how non-technical people can get into tech by project management. And so we have our guest speakers today, CG Otenigbagbe, and we've got Dr. Bola, and Dr. Bola has a double-barreled name. So because her name is double, I'm not going to proceed to pronounce the other end of it. You guys would have seen that on the flyers, right? And Dr. Bola is here as well. And myself as well will be one of the speakers as well as the anchor. So I'll start with myself as expected. I've worked within project management now for over 10 years. I've worked in public and private sector. I think in the days that I started to work, I used to be one of the only Black people on the floor. And I'm being honest about this. There wasn't a lot of Black people working in technology. And it felt really good to be different and to not have a lot like me, a lot of people that look like me. But it also felt, it felt really, uncomfortable as well. So at the back of that, I've been quite keen and interested to encourage people to come this way, because it's a good career. You get a lot of perks around it. You get good financial compensation. You get work-life balance. You get ability to work virtually. And so, yeah, that is how I started everything around coaching and training people. And I've gone through exactly the same journey that you guys are going through, or some of you might be going through, which is changing careers, having to navigate what might be good for me, and then choosing to go one path that you haven't gone before. So I used to be a lawyer in Nigeria before I moved here a couple of years ago. Now that's quickly about me. Obviously, because I'm introducing myself, I spent a bit more around myself. And maybe I should just let our guest speakers introduce themselves, because then I won't be unfair speaking so much about myself and I get to speak about them with a very short sentence. So I'll go with CG first. CG, can you please introduce yourself?
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so my name is CG Otenigbagbe. I'm a business change consultant. Been in the profession for about 15 years now. Worked on different projects. Had the opportunity of working across different industries, across different tech projects also. Came off, into this particular part of my career. My first degree is actually mass communication, which has to do a lot with around public relations, advertising, media relations, and things like that. So I did that for a couple of years. And then from there, I moved into communications. A need came up in an organization I was working for. And in that organization, they said they needed someone to do internal comms. Then I moved into that using my external communications skills in media relations for internal communications. And as I did that, then the need for change came into the picture, where they didn't just want internal comms, they wanted somebody who could deliver implementation communications alongside what they were doing in the organization at that time. So I kind of dipped my head in and said, okay, fine, no worries. Let me see what I can do to help you shape the communication so that people know exactly what to do when it came to training, when it came to using the system, when it came to what was changing the organization and all that. And that's kind of moved me into change communications without me even knowing. And then I stayed in that space for a couple of years, and then I moved into proper change management. And I've been in that space for about, like I said, about 15 years now, delivering change. So that is basically my story. And it's around, like I said, it's around projects and programs. And I'm also a certified program and project manager also. So, yeah.
Thanks so much, CG. That's a really lovely intro. I can't top that. So guys, everyone here is certified in a lot of things. You've got a really good wealth of network. Like, what I'm trying to tell you right here is there's an opportunity right here. CG and Dr. Bola, right? Never miss an opportunity to be intentional about whatever you do. So if I were you, I'll be looking to see how I can connect with these two people. If I was looking at opportunities within change management, for instance, CG might be a good person to talk to, and you might never have that opportunity to meet with him or connect with him again outside of this platform. So I'm going to let Dr. Bola go next and just introduce herself.
Thank you very much, Lara. Can you guys hear me? Can you all hear me? Lara, thank you. So I'll try to be very informal, because I know that when I'm invited to talk, I'm always very strict and very uptight, and but today it's a Thursday evening, right? So I'm looking forward to the weekend. So I should be relaxed. Yeah. So my name is Dr. Bola Oyelakin Badicho, like she said, very long surname. Yeah. So I would say I started my tech journey basically in 2016. So that should be like about 8 years thereabout. Yeah. And I would say that my tech journey really started when I was in the university studying for my PhD. So like 2 months into the PhD, I just knew that I wasn't going to be a lecturer. It wasn't for me. I could tell that, this was not. So out of curiosity, I started to speak to family and friends. I started to speak to, people to say, oh, what are the other career options that I could, and obviously because I didn't want to go back home, I needed, a career path that could, help with COS or, help with just an opportunity to stay in the country apart from lecturing, right? So, people told me, oh, PM, try BA, try this, try that, and all. So, and then, but it was a bit weird for me because I was coming from, like a background of HR, and I have 2 masters. I have one in oil and gas. I have one in, performance management. And then I was like, I'm doing a PhD in performance management. So it's like a bit different from the usual. So I started asking questions around, okay, so how do I go about the journey? Who do I need to speak to and all that? And then, I got contacts of different, training institutions that I could, enroll with. And my first was to contact them and, just say, and then another thing was I was on 20-hour visa. So a lot of them said, okay, get the training, but you might just only be able to work as a part-time, staff and all that, which was fine by me because I just needed to start something and then, be able to build on it later. To cut the long story short, anyway, I, went for the training, but I actually started as a PM, not a BA. So I went for the training. I had the opportunity of an internship after, And then I started to look for opportunities to, to help people with their projects. You tell me you have this project. I want to be able to talk to you as a professional. I want to talk to you about budget, cost, like just the things that a PM would do. And, like that helped me and, gave me opportunities for, further projects that I started to bite into. But I would say my transition to BA really was, I had the opportunity to work as a PM, or let me just say I had the opportunity to work hybrid role as a PM and a BA, and I enjoyed the BA part of it. For me, it felt very natural because I could elicit requirements. I didn't have a problem with speaking to stakeholders, and like it felt fulfilling for me. And then I just went ahead to just continue as a BA, and I've been working as a BA since then. So that's me as a senior business analyst, and also so I wear multiple hats. I'm the convener for next gen analyst, and I'm a director of different organizations, but I won't want to bore you with all that. But yeah, I think a summary would do. Thank you, Laura, and thank you everyone here for joining.
Thanks, Dr. Bola, and thank you, CG. You guys have done really well. I shouldn't have given you the mic because now I feel like I didn't say enough. But you guys did very well introducing yourselves. I won't go back with introducing myself. I gave you guys a really brief detail around me. We're sharing the brochure for Ariel Lyric. Within the brochure, I think there's my profile. So you guys can read up on my profile. I think the key things you guys need to know, you do know. What we all have in common, the three of us, is that we are now working within tech. We are in senior roles, and we've had different journeys where we've just basically progressed from one thing to the other. So Dr. Bola spoke about doing a PhD and realizing it wasn't for her, and then moving into a project management, a core project management role, and then moving to become a business analyst. And then CJ also spoke about how he was responding to organizational needs, and as he responded to it, he also found what he enjoyed, and now he's a senior change manager. So that's quite common. It's quite a common thread amongst all of us, the three of us on here now. And for myself, I used to be a practicing lawyer in Nigeria. I came here and then moved over from being a lawyer and did something similar to what Dr. Bola did. Got trained, tried to develop myself around project management, and then enter that industry. Now, I know that on the flyer there's another guest speaker, Samuel Adeshoga, that was meant to be covering. He's a Scrum Master, and he was meant to be covering things around agile, agile roles within, his perspective or his contribution would have been around agile roles within tech and how to get there. Unfortunately, it's not really well. So for health reasons, he's not been able to join us. Our thoughts and prayers are with him. So we're just going to crack on. Again, I'm just going to ask you guys to please, if you can, share the links, share the webinar link with your family and friends. I'm still getting a lot of notifications, and because I'm not able to look at what I'm seeing, I am assuming some of them are requests to get the link. So please just share out. You'll be surprised how quickly things spread. Please share out to your family and friends on WhatsApp, and they will join as we go, as we're going to start the core discussion now. So now I'm going to ask our speakers for their, I'll start asking questions, and each person will give their own insights around the questions I would ask. I would always let the two guest speakers speak ahead of me, and I'll be the last just because I'm the anchor and the host. Double acts and enjoy it. So I think we've already done the introduction just now, but that was the question we're going to answer. I think Dr. Bola has gone into a lot of detail, but I think what we can do with this question now is if we can shed more light. So can you guys introduce yourselves and your current role within the tech industry? So you guys can be more specific now. And can you share any insight into the journey that has led to your current position? So you guys had some of that. I'm going to ask CG to start first, and Dr. Bola would then go next, and I would go last.
Okay. So should I just go straight to the question we have already? Or
yes, please. Yes, just straight to the question.
Okay.
You probably don't have to introduce yourself, but just speaking about your current role and insight into your journey. I know you've covered some, but
that's all right.
More detail.
Okay. Thanks. So, current role, business change consultant. I work for a pharma organization at the moment, and I've worked in that sector for quite a bit now. So I've done, like I said earlier on, I've done pharma, I've done telecoms, done construction, quite a lot. So that's quite vast, and I'm happy for that. And then also I've worked on different tech projects, SAP, Oracle, D365. Some of you would have heard about these names being thrown here and there. And then also bespoke tech projects. And then also I've done bits around HR, cultural change, and things like that. HR, when I say HR, I'm talking about mergers and acquisitions. I was privileged enough, for those of you probably have been around for quite a while, you remember the Lloyd's H Boss merger and acquisition. I was involved in that particular bit. And I've also worked, the likes of Barclays. I've also worked for the Big Four. So it's a varying, bit of experience I'm quite grateful for that I have. Now talking about my background, in terms of falling in love with projects. Now, one part I didn't mention earlier on was the fact that when I first wanted to go into project management, having come into the country years ago, I was gonna get myself all started up just like every other person had said, and everybody was saying to me, "Oh, just go into core project management itself," and I wanted to, but it didn't come to me naturally. Going back to what Dr. Bola just said, it didn't come to me naturally. So I said to myself, no, what's my natural? And throughout this bit, I want you to just, take that and put in your back pocket, your natural, what comes to you naturally. That's very, very important. So for me, I was like, yes, I love project management, but it didn't come to me naturally. So I said, okay, fine. What am I going to do? Communications comes to me naturally. So I began to look for roles within communications. And I bet to tell you that the year I started looking for communications on project management roles was the year that it became more or less illegal. That was when GDPR, KYC, for those of you that know things within banking, know your customer, and then GDPR, making sure that you have people's details in the right places. It became almost legal to have communications as part of projects. So I came with my skill set, and they were like, okay, you've got communications, come and help us and get onto this project and start. And that was where I started. That was how I started my role as a real core change person on projects. And what I love the most about projects, to be fair, is the methodological and organized approach to solutions. Like Lara said earlier on, one thing that we cannot run away from, and the fact there is that a lot of organizations rely on projects to deliver quick results. And the world is going to tend more towards that over the next coming years, more so because of things like AI, because of data and things like that. So things that before were difficult to deliver, that would take maybe companies 20, 30 months to deliver, now with data at their fingertips, they can deliver those things in 6 months. All they need to do is just have the right people on the team that can actually think through and then push them into systems. And one of the other things I also realized, going back to the fact that what made me comfortable as someone coming onto tech projects, was that I realized that a lot of the tech projects that were being delivered were not actually built from ground up. So the likes of SAP, Oracle, a lot of them were being bought off the shelf. The likes of D365, they've been bought off the shelf. And then the company would either adapt or adopt the processes within that particular tech tool. So like SAP or Oracle or D365, they would adapt or adopt it to their own processes so that it can work for them. And that is where people like us who are not tech people, we come into the space, because tech people just want to do tech. But we want to do people. We want to engage people. We want to make sure that people understand what's coming. They want to help people to arrive at the end goal from one point to the next. While most times, the tech guys just want to do their tech and that's it. We deliver the kit and that is it. But we are the people that come and say, okay, fine, you've delivered the kit. We need to let people know when you're delivering the kit, how you're delivering the kit, how you're working with the business to deliver that kit, how they're going to use the kit when you've delivered it. You'll be shocked that, and sorry, there's any tech person online. I'm not trying to diss tech. You'll be shocked at how a lot of tech people don't even care how people use the kit.
Is it just me? I think it's frozen, right?
Yes, I do think that we've lost CG.
It's still there actually. It's just that it's camera.
Yeah. So it's frozen. CG, I don't know if you can hear us. If your audio is not coming out as well. So it might be okay. You're back now. We know you're back. Okay. Yeah. Oh, we're back to.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, sorry about that. So I think I talked about tech. I said sometimes the tech guys just want to deliver tech, whilst we come on board to help you on the journey to being able to use the tool and the kit and all that. So for me, that was what brought me into project management. It was a case of having an organized approach to delivering solutions, and the end goal of seeing how these solutions and strategies become tangibles. They become end goals, tangibles, and that was just what got me on board. And I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna do this. And like I said, I got a bit of project management training, program management training, and then I got my business change certification also. So I'm certified across all those bits basically. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you. Thanks, CG. That's really interesting. And, it's so interesting when you think, oh, in tech, they don't need non-technical people when they actually really do need, that really different expertise from what they have. There's no industry that would only be looking to leverage just its core, and so within technology, it's just technical people. And that's why at the end of the day in the world, there's no island. Everyone needs each other. We kind of complement each other with the diversity. So technical roles and non-technical roles balance out tech organization. So thank you so much for that, CG. Dr. Bola Wood, she probably gave us more detail around herself, getting into her career. But if you can just give us like key points around, just insights into key things that drove your decision to then settle for BA, because now you're a BA, but you've also been in projects. That would be really great.
Thank you very much, Lara. So at the moment, I work as a senior business analyst within the public sector, precisely a local council in London, but I work remotely. I don't think I've been to the office more than once, and I've been there for years. So yeah, that's it. And just like CJ, I've worked on different projects. I've worked on mobile application projects. I've worked on website redesign projects, CRM project, process improvement projects, like change management projects. And one of the things I love most about being a business analyst is, and I think, I would say it aligns more with my skills. So I like to communicate. I like to, talk. I like the fact that the business analyst is actually, so I describe it more like the sandwich, like the meat in between, the burger, and I see, okay, a part of the burger is actually the business. The business, there's a need for a change. They want to implement a change, or maybe they're tired of a legacy system and then they want to, they want to automate their processes, or they want to streamline their processes also. But the business can't communicate directly to the tech guys because, there's that gap between, the business and the tech guys. And so that's where the role of a business analyst comes in. So you have to be able to understand. So there's something called active listening. You can hear what someone is saying, but you might not be listening. And that's one of the key strengths that I believe that I've got, especially when I'm really interested in something. So the business says they want this. there's a particular way that you have to be able to communicate that to the developers or the tech team, which is why, you know, as a BA, you have to be trained to it. So I'm trained in that. So like I said, you're the meat. So the other side of, you know, the bug guys, you know, the tech guys, you need to communicate. So you're the middle person or the middle lady or the middle guy between, you know, the two ends. You have to be able to communicate the business needs to the tech guys. And there's a way, and that's where, you know, you get to be trained about how to write user stories, acceptance criteria, and, you know, how you are going to communicate that effectively, because you also want to capture what is in scope and what is out of scope. You don't want the guys to be building outside what the business wants, you know. So, and in order for you to do that, you have to be great at communicating, you know, both to the business and to, you know, the tech guys. You have to be collaborative. You know, you have to collaborate with. You have to be a good collaborator, because you won't just be speaking with one person. You might be working with solutions architect. You might be working project managers. You know, so if you're not collaborating, you probably are not getting enough information about what you should be communicating to the tech guys. You know, that I like, you know, this part of, like, I think, so I'm very analytical. When you tell me something, okay, I say, okay, I listen. I'm like, okay, so, you know, how do we implement? So you ask me a question and I'm telling you, okay, how can we work this out? And then I try to, you know, even if it's to, you know, prepare a PowerPoint presentation. And that's why we have a lot of tools, you know, like whiteboards where you can, you know, have diagrams, conceptual, just diagrams that will help to communicate what you're trying to say. And then problem solving, those things come naturally, you know, to me as an individual, and then I'm able to apply them as a business analyst as well. I'm good at researching. I like to research. So BA is not just about, you know, you have to be able to research about it, especially if it's a project that you've not worked on before. And, you know, there's so many things that I enjoy about, you know, being a business analyst, which has, you know, pulled me from what I used to be, because it comes naturally. Like CG said, it comes naturally to me. And that's just, in a nutshell, some of the things that I enjoy being as a BA. I don't think I want to drag this for too long, but I hope I've been able to answer the question, Lara.
You have absolutely, because we have some other questions and you've even covered some of it, so that's really good. This reminds me of when I'm talking to people that I'm prepping for interviews. I usually tell them that when you over answer and you cover the next question, you're really good. They're really impressed with you. So thank you. That was really good. So now I think it's for me to now introduce myself. But before I introduce myself, I just didn't want to sit and ignore it, because I can see all your contributions and I just wanted to share it with the rest of the speakers. So Oluchi said that she studied the same thing that you studied in university, Dr. Bola. So that's interesting. So maybe, you know, Oluchi, if I was you, you know, network. See, I'm giving you tips. You guys should be paying me for that. And then AK was saying to CG, once you said the tech guys don't care about how users will interact with the solution, you froze. I think the tech guy was behind that. So you guys keep your comments coming. I do like an interactive webinar. You know, obviously it can be stiff being on a webinar, but let's keep it interactive. Keep the chats and the observations coming. So yes, about me, you know, our two guest speakers have done very well, just talking around what led them to the path that they got to and what they like most about what they do. We'll cover that in detail. But about me, I probably did not introduce myself at the start. I'm Lara Gabriel. I'm a non-technical project management professional. And now I've found myself in the last 7 or so years working mainly within digital and technology projects. So I started out working in regulatory projects, and somehow the technology world found me, and you know, I've been there ever since. And what happens when you start to work in tech is that the demand for you would keep being tech, because they like people that have that experience. And so that's, you know, I've leveraged that. I do not possess any coding skills. I'm not as technical as your average technical person, but because of my role within project management, so at the moment, I am a PMO manager within the civil service. In terms of being very specific, sorry guys, I'm just going to close my WhatsApp chat. I've put it open just because I've got my team at the back end communicating with me, but I'm going to put it off because it's distracting me and everybody else. So bear with me, guys. Team, I'm not on the chat. Yeah, just need to get rid of the distraction. Yes, okay, so that's gone. So now I can just go back to speaking about myself, which I don't do often, or I don't enjoy doing. I don't know if I'm being modest, but I think in this case, I would enjoy doing it because I want you guys to be able to connect with us and understand how our journeys is quite similar to what you might be going through. So in terms of coding skills, I have no coding skills. I'm currently a PMO manager within the civil service. And a PMO manager, PMO means project management office. And that's one of the many, project management roles that don't necessarily have the label project management. And obviously, this is not a webinar to talk around project management specifically, but we did a previous webinar last month and we spoke about project management, and we're going to do a few more where we kind of shine the light on all these other roles that don't have that they don't have that label. But that's what I do. I currently work within HMCTS, but before working within public sector, I've been within private sector. So I've worked mainly within the banking sector, worked with a host of banks, Lloyds. I've worked with Lloyds, I've worked with Bank of America, I've worked with Barclays. And out of all those banks, my favorite was definitely Barclays. They had the diversity of people. Most of my career, I've moved around a lot because I do enjoy just getting into projects, working in a different organization, having to have that quick learning curve, learn a few things around how they do things around here, move on to another company. So I know there are people that would rather just stay with the same employer for most of their life, but I'm not one of those people. I do not enjoy being in places for too long because I feel like I'm doing myself a disbenefit, not knowing about other places and how they do things. But that's just me and how I operate. In terms of my journey, I've gone back to say, and I'm just reiterating it, I'm a non-technical person. I do like technology. I do try to get ahead of technology, but I'm not techie at all. I actually have a background in law. So I used to be a lawyer before I moved to the UK. And being a lawyer, there's a lot you do that you can decide to transfer to project management. I think that was my own moment of, that was my my haha moment. I'm like, oh, actually, I have this skill and that skill. And, project management is looking for that. And so when I came here, did my master's, and then did something within project management, and I'm thinking, oh wow, this is really interesting. This really sounds like what I would love to do. Having to deal with clients, having to talk in court, having to put documents together, having to ensure that we're doing things according to the law. There was a lot of common threads with project management, because with project management, you're managing stakeholders, you're constantly putting project artifacts together. And there's a lot of skills you need within project management. You have to have problem solving skills. Dr. Bola spoke about having analytical skills. All these skills come to play, and they kind of become more when you do an audit of what you're currently doing. Then you realize, oh, actually, I have these skills. It's not called this, it's called this. So where we have stakeholder management for Dr. Bola and CG, we call it stakeholders. People that work within customer care call their own customers, right? They call the same category of people customers. So sometimes it's just the lingo and all. There's quite some common things within each of these industries. And I think for most people that want to make that change, it just takes taking an inventory of what you can bring onto a tech project, and you'll find it really useful. And I also spoke last time about people that are incidental project managers. There are people that are already working within projects but don't even realize they are working within projects. So back to talking about myself, I then moved on, from being a lawyer. Just think about it, because law is quite rigid. It's almost like people that read medicine as well. You go to uni for a long time, this is all you've known, and you go into this new field. So I went into project management, was really scared. I was extremely scared, to be honest, about if I was making the right decision. But unlike most people, I didn't spend a lot of time trying to research what I wanted. My attitude towards this was, try it, and if you fail, you have a fallback. You still have your law degree. You still, you can still find, a job within law, within the legal field. But I went straight for it, because now I find a lot of people who come on consultation with me say, I've been sitting on the bench trying to make a decision. To be honest, the longer time you take, the more it's not in your favor. So what I did, and I would advise, is to try. In life, if you only try, you'd never know if you would fail or you would succeed. And obviously, when you put your mind to succeeding, you succeed, because I never went back to law. Obviously, I remember practicing, but it feels like a distant memory now. And, that's about me. And in terms of outside of what I do professionally, as in working as a PMO manager within the public sector, I also add the aerolyric training. So that is a passion that I found started years ago after I did a similar training to what I'm providing now. So years and years ago, when I decided to move into project management and get, close that gap in terms of knowledge, I attended the training, and it was a good training. But at the back of that training, I thought, okay, this was a good training, but what could have been done better? I took lessons learned and thought, you know what, I'm going to make a note of this. And then the more I walked and saw that I was the only person on the shop floor, my days of going into Lloyd's and being the only person and going on lunch with people that spoke about TV shows that I wasn't aware of. Do you get? Wouldn't it be better if I had more people like me that could also contribute to those conversations? I think it was from then I started to think, we need to get more of us within the tech industry. We need to get more of people like us working within project management, and hence, the training and coaching arc of, what I do started. And I think what is my core motivation around this is just about people. It's not so much about me, because I find that when people come and I train them and they get into jobs, the satisfaction comes from what happens, how I help them to kickstart their careers, or how I help them to kickstart their journeys in the UK. So I'll give you guys an example of someone that joined the training and she just relocated and she got a job offer after 6 weeks. Now, that was, that was all I thought, she got in a job. Now, interestingly, this person moved from being, she started as a project manager and moved into a business analyst role, like Dr. Bola. But just around COVID, we had a quick catch up and chat, and she said, I've gotten my mortgage. I mean, this is someone that she came to the UK 3 years prior or so. But it was so much joy for me to see that someone could just come in and start to get things that people that have been here for a while might not have been able to achieve. And why was she able to do that? Because she got the right support, because she got someone that could hold her hands. And so that's really about me. I hope I've not taken too much talking about myself, but I think the core message for me is you are not alone in this work. Network, reach out. Do not take too much time making a decision. Start your journey today. All right, so we'll move to the next question for our esteemed guests. And maybe you've covered some of it, maybe not. This time around, Dr. Bola will go first, and then CG, and I would always go last. I think I'm used to this. Sorry, CG. I know you want ladies first, but you can't get ladies first this time. So the question is, we have all transitioned to the tech industry from diverse backgrounds, and we've contributed our unique, experiences to our roles. What really attracted you to a career in project management without a technical background? And what do you find? So this is like this question has several babies, but you guys can choose what part of the question you prefer to answer. What aspects do you find most gratifying in your work within this field? So Dr. Bola, can you answer? So what you're really saying is what attracted you and what you find most gratifying about being a BA?
Thank you very much, Lara. So what attracted me to tech? And basically, I'm sure I don't want to repeat myself, but I'm sure a lot of you heard when I said I was in the university, and I just knew that I didn't want to lecture. I mean, like I didn't want to lecture for you, not even for £1 million. So obviously the investigation started with, okay, what else can I do with my life apart from lecturing and all that? And what attracted me was basically I needed a change. And then I wanted a bigger challenge. I wanted, like an opportunity to make a change, a better life. I will expatiate more on that. So as much as I needed a change, I didn't want to change from, a PhD student or a PhD graduate to something less, or to a job that would pay me less of what my colleagues that were paying. So I wanted a better life. I wanted a job that would be able to take care of me very well financially. I didn't want to be relying on, you know how it is in this country. You don't want to be relying on people. Yeah. So, and in my research, this was, the tech was definitely a place to be in terms of very good pay, job satisfaction, and then the desire to see. So I'm talking about change now, and I know CJ will talk more about it. Maybe I'm starting to answer the gratifying part as well. But for me, one of the things that have been fulfilling for me as a BA is to see the change that was part of. I've been involved in a lot of projects from start to finish, and especially when there's a conception about, okay, this application, how do we do it? And then you've gathered the requirements and everything, and the project goes live, and you see the application working, and you can see feedbacks from, that is fulfilling for me. Or there's a change. I've worked on a waste project, and then, like I've seen projects move from conception, from it just being in the head of someone, one of the leaders, so to speak, and then it, going through all the project life cycle stages, even up to, go live, and then the test. And then when you see that, you are happy that you're part of that change. You're happy that you captured the requirement. You're happy that you mapped the processes for it, both the assays and the to be. You're happy that you did the gap analysis. You understood, okay, so, and what I mean by gap analysis is you're asking questions, okay, trying to understand where we are now. You're trying to understand where we want to go, and there's a gap. How do we bridge that gap in order to get to where we want to go to? So for me, it's more, those are like, like really opportunities, to be relevant, because you're part of a change or decision-making process. Organizations can't really do well without a business analyst, just the way they can't do well without a PM, because the leaders don't really have the skills to elicit the requirement. They know sometimes, let me even shock you, sometimes that these stakeholders don't even know what they want. It is when you start to talk to them and you start to dig into, why do you want it? Like when you start to ask them questions, then you see that, oh, sometimes it could be out of their competitive nature. Oh, Coca-Cola did this, so 7-Up, I am 7-Up, I have to, or iPhone did this, and so because I'm Android, I have to do. Sometimes it's just out of, so that's where you come in as a BA. Sometimes they don't know why they're doing what they're doing, right? So it's when you start to dig, when you start to probe, like you start to understand, okay, so what is in scope, what is out of scope, what are we doing? How are we going to, like you start to break down we call it elaborating the requirements, or should I say fleshing out the requirements. You start to understand, okay, this is what exactly they want, and then you're documenting that, because it's a different thing when you have workshops to elicit the requirements. You need to document the requirements. Apart from documenting the requirements, you need to have sessions with the developers, like they call it triabago sessions, depending on if it's a waterfall environment or an agile environment. So when you have those sessions and you've moved from the start of the project to the end, there's nothing as fulfilling as that, to know that I was part of this change, I was part of the decision, making process, I was part of, the leaders actually took this decision. And especially when you get very good feedbacks, there's nothing as gratifying as that. So just summarizing, what I was saying, one, I was attracted to it because I wanted to take on a new challenge. I knew that I had the skills for it. I had the analytical skills for it. I needed a better life. I wanted to earn more. I wanted to do better with my life. I wanted to, get more knowledge. I wanted to be relevant. Like Lara said, you go to organizations where, and my colleague is on the call and she understands what in the whole team of maybe like 50, like the meeting I had today, I was the only Black. Like you go into steering groups, you're the only Black person. Then I really like what Lara is doing, because we need to get more Black people into, the decision-making process, where, they can't take a decision without speaking to the business analyst. They can't take a decision without speaking to the PM, because they know something might go wrong. Someone might say something that would, catch them and say, okay, you know what, well, can we just suspend this meeting because we're waiting for Lara to, to come and, we're waiting for CG, or we're waiting for Bola, like it's very fulfilling for me to know that in a country like this, where my color is not, very important to them, something up here can actually stand out for me to say, okay, we don't like your color, but we like what you bring to the table in terms of ideas. And, I think that for me is key in, in the diaspora world, basically. So I hope I've not rambled too much, Lara, and I hope I've been able to answer your questions, really. So yeah.
When you haven't rambled, in fact, guys, please give me a reaction if you are liking Dr. Bola's rambling, because she's classified as rambling, but we've classified it as no, she's dishing out what we want to hear. So no rambles here. Lovely points. Thank you so much. CG is going to go next, and then I would go last. And CG, I know the question was packed, so I'm just going to quickly repeat part of it. It's just for you to share with us, what you find most gratifying about being a change manager, and what attracted you to a career in tech without a technical background. Before CG starts, I just want to say that I'm seeing your comments. We are seeing your comments. Sorry, we would answer them, so don't worry, it's not being ignored. We'll be picking them up and I'll be saying them, at intervals. So I'll let CG have the floor.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Just quickly, I just want to mention 2-3 things before I go into the answer, please, if you don't mind. Number one, just to quickly clarify, I'm a business change manager or business change consultant. Out there's also what you call a change manager, with two different roles. The business change manager is a people person, while the change manager does technical versioning, if I may use that word. So a lot of times when you see something pop up on your iPhone or your Samsung phone that says, accept this update, that is the change manager, technical guy doing that. So just wanted to clarify that in case somebody's thinking, oh, I've read that change manager before, but I thought it was tech. No, they're two different things. Business change and change management from a tech perspective are totally different. So that. Second one, quickly, Lara said something, get on with it. And I really want to say that to everybody on here. Just get on with it. Don't overthink it. The third one, interesting in the UK, because UK is a vocational environment. It's not like America. America and Nigeria in particular, they're all about the certificate. And you get a certificate, or what university do you go to, what degree do you have, and then boom, the door opens and then you can get a job. America is very big on that. The UK is totally different. The UK is vocational driven, which means that your hands, what you can do, is what really, really gives you the edge. And your experience is what gives you the edge. So what I'm trying to say with that is, you've got to be extremely careful the kind of jobs you do, because it piles on together to your experience. And when you need that job that you're talking about, if you listen to all of us, we've tried to kind of like come from an angle where we've been able to get into our profession by leaning on what we had before, but not so much about the certificate, more about our core skills and our experience. So please have that at the back of your mind. It's quite important that you build on the things that you have, because that's what will get you your next job. So you've got to be very, very careful how you navigate that journey. And I'm sure Lara can help you with that, later on when you connect with her. So going to your answer, your question rather. Yeah, for me, I think my passion is actually very close to what Dr. Bolatu also said. What drove me into this was, bearing in mind my profession, where I came from, my first degree, where it was all around media relations, public relations, brand perceptions, and things like that. That was what I did in school, mass comm. I would always see a case where we do what we call brand activations in those days. And when you do brand activations, then you see the end of brand activations. For those of you who were around maybe in the 90s, early 90s, 80s, you would have seen things like St. Maurice activations, where they would have musical shows and all that kind of stuff. I was that guy. I did most of those kind of stuff, and I enjoyed them. And I love the end result of those things. Sales would shoot up and things like that. So when I came in contact with project management, I realized I could bring that set of skill into change management, into project management, using my change management skills to actually see the end result, where people actually begin to use the tools that the project has put together. So that comes into play, like communications. So I would be responsible for things like communication, things like stakeholder management and engagement, things like part of the work that someone like Dr. Bola would do would be the things that I will pick up and use in my communications. Part of what the job of what Dr. Bola would do will be part of things I will pick up that we use for things like the training strategy. I will use for the training plan. I will use for the training personas. Okay, who do we need to train? What are roles that we need to map people to, and all that kind of stuff. And the end result of that is to actually see people, wow, now this thing actually makes sense. The interesting thing about projects, which Dr. Bola mentioned also, is the fact that most times when projects start, I'm sorry, I'm going to put it very, very blunt, a lot of times 95% of the guys on the team for the first maybe 2 months don't have a clue. I'm serious. A lot of us are just trying to find out what exactly is this thing all about. And that's where people like Dr. Bola come into the picture, because they are the ones that usually go first, and they kind of like gather the requirements, engage the teams, engage the subject matter experts, the business, to get exactly what, I need to understand what you're doing today, so that we can then say this is what the system or the tech can deliver, and then map, like she said earlier on, and map the difference and the gaps. And then someone like myself, I might then come in and say, okay, based on these gaps, how do we mitigate the impact of these gaps and things like that, which is where training comes into play, communications comes in, engagement comes in. So you can begin to see how people like us who don't even understand tech are actually helping technical people to deliver stuff, because we remain and that is one of the things that really, really excites me. Let me share something with you that was quite interesting. About 6 years ago, I worked for Unilever. Six now? I can't remember now, 6 or 7 years ago. I worked for Unilever, and I went on a coding course, and they showed us how to build code, how to build apps. We called it hackathon. Yes, it was an hackathon. So how to build apps, and how you can build an app. And we're trying to build like a Domino's app where we could get something delivered to a particular location. And they showed us how to do it, and it was fantastic. I loved it, but I didn't love it. You know why I didn't love it? Why I didn't love it was it got me so engrossed in the tech that I lost the focus of, okay, being a user outside the tech, what are the things that I need to understand that could fail, that would not make this thing work? And being a non-technical person, that is what I bring to the table. I'm that guy that sits back and I look at all the tech you're building and I say, okay, fine, thank you very much for building this tech, but what about this person? How is he going to use it? How is that person going to use it? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Do you think this person's role can actually do X, Y, Z? And that is what I enjoy the most, is that ability to stand back, remain the people person. And like Dr. Bola said, I think to an extent, I also sit in that space as a change person when she talked about the sandwich
Well, CG, is it just me now? I can hear him again.
Yes, I agree. As AK
I
said,
was enjoying that actually.
yeah, AK is saying that it's, the tech guys are the ones. It's not village people. This is the tech guys. They don't like the fact that we're saying that they don't matter as much as we do. Let's just give it a second and just hoping that CE comes back. And, at the end of the day, technology we can't do without it, but it's not going to be 100% reliable. So I always advise people that whenever tech decides to, he has a mind of his own as well. CG, you're back. Okay, I was just giving everyone a pep talk about how technologies can be unreliable, but we just get on with
just
it.
1 second. I'm trying to change my source of internet.
Okay. All right, guys. So CG is just trying to change his source, and I think we will just give it a few so that it can do that change, because we're really enjoying all of the good points he was giving. Yes, it's better, but I can only say that because I'm reading.
Am I better now? Am I
Yes,
stronger now?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I've changed my source of internet, and I hope this works better. Sorry about that, guys. So where was I?
You're talking about the sandwich, like
yes,
what I said about the sandwich.
Yes, sorry, yes.
I was enjoying that bit actually.
Okay, yeah, good. So I think I also find myself in that space where I'm like, the sandwich in between the organization and the project. And what I usually would do is I would go to the business. I'm the people. Let's put it this way. I'm the people guy, just like Dr. Bola said. I'm the people guy. I lean more on the business side than on the project side, and that's because I make sure that whatever the project delivers, the business can use it. So for that to happen, I have to do things like communicating to them at the right time, telling them what the project is about, when it's being going to be delivered, what is being delivered, how it's going to be delivered, and what they need to do to kind of like benefit from whatever it is that's been delivered. So I kind of like walk around that space. So I cannot lean too much to the project. Rather, I'm poking the project, asking very serious questions like, have we thought about this? Have we thought about that? When I'm going to do my training plan, for instance, or my training schedule or my training strategy, I'm not going to just do it because I want to do it. I'm going to do it more like, what can the business actually take a hold, be available to do. So sometimes training plans are just, I'm sure Dr. Bola knows, training plans are different. Sometimes you do training plans, you say, oh, we're just going to do Q&As. Sometimes you're going to say you're going to do drop-in sessions. Sometimes you say you're going to do ILT, that's instructor-led training. You're doing full-blown training. Sometimes just going to share, give people, what they call it now, learning guides. So you have to be flexible based on what I've been on a project. I was on a project once where it was a project in Asia, and the country lead told us specifically, I will not give you my people to train them, but they must use the system on day one. Go and think about how you do it. And we had to go off, and I came back saying, okay, fine, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give you all the training in e-learning. Do the e-learning at your own pace, including the ILT, that's instructor-led training that we're meant to do. Do it at your own pace, and then come back to us and let us know once you've done it. The system says you've done it, all clicked, and we're all happy. So what I'm trying to say to you is, even though I'm non-technical, my role is always to sit on the people side and help the business achieve what the project actually wants to do. So it's one of the things that have always stirred me up, is our ability to support the business and see the end goal of whatever it is that the project has come up with, has thought about, what the business case for the project is all about, and all that kind of stuff. Just seeing the end goal is what really, really, really attracts me and makes me really, really, excited. Like I said, don't be deceived. I'm sure Dr. Bola will be able to tell you more if you connect with that. Don't be deceived. A lot of times you get onto the project. Interestingly, in the UK, like I told you, it's a vocational environment. You come onto the project, day one, they give you a laptop and they tell you, bye-bye, go and do the job. Why? Because you told us during the interview you could do the job. So here's the laptop, sort yourself out. However, interestingly, most times nobody even has a clue what needs to be delivered until probably 8 weeks, 9 weeks down the line. In most cases, that's if you start with the project at the beginning, I mean, right from the start. A lot of times people don't, then they begin to know, okay, this is what we need to do. This is how we need to do it. So don't feel, and this is trying to build your confidence. Don't feel like a novice. Don't feel like you don't know what you're doing. Don't feel like like you don't have a clue because you get onto a project and it feels like you don't have a clue. Yes, you shouldn't have a clue from day one. You shouldn't. You should just have an idea of what you need to deliver using your set skills. But the project itself, you're going to learn along the line. Thank you.
Thanks so much, CG. Thanks so much. That's really great. Like really, really great points from CG. And I hope that, what he's saying is sounding out to you. For some of you that have, some of you are dealing with a lot, some people are dealing with imposter syndrome even before they switch. Don't be hard on yourself. I think the more important thing is that you are someone that is ready to put in the work with learning, because you would have to want to learn. But the learning doesn't have to be now. You wouldn't know everything in the career you want to switch into or you want to go into immediately. But you have to be ready to put in the work and learn on the job. So like CG is saying, he's so right about the fact that at the start of a project, not everything is defined. As you go, you are learning, and that gives you a chance as a newbie to get the laptop they've given you and to start to do your own learning, crash course and I did all of that when I first got into project management. What was the most important thing was not whether I had the background, but was more around how I was willing to close that gap slowly. I've seen some really lovely questions here that we would take, but with the questions, guys, don't worry, the questions are going to be answered. I was just going to talk around myself and what I find, most gratifying about working within project management. So now, at the moment, I work as a PMO manager. My role is also an assistant PM. And so I do something that is not core project management, but is project management. I know that might be confusing, but guys, what I want you to do is at the back of this, go and look at what is a PMO and what is a project manager. Just opens you up to what you can possibly do if you are looking to go into project management, because perhaps you're better aligned to be working in a PMO rather than a project manager. I can't go into the detail of that now because we've got lots to go through and we don't want to eat into our Q&A session. But what I find most gratifying about my job, and I won't lie to you, it's been most gratifying from the start of it. I told you guys about the fact that I don't like to stay with one employer forever. So it's quite obvious that I'm someone that thrives on change. It's so strange that even when I'm driving, some days when I'm taking the same route to drop my child in school, I want to take a different route because I'm tired of taking the same route. So you can see why I would enjoy project management, right? Because at the end of the day, I don't have to do the same thing every time. I get different projects. Every project is unique. Do you guys get me? Every project is unique. And why is that? Because the different factors that affect the project. Every organization might have similar projects, but the things that impact it are different. The kind of team you work with. So is that diversity of experiences that I really love about being a project, being a project manager, being a PMO. What I also really love about what I do is I feel, I go into work every day feeling like my role is an integral part of the organization. And without my role, the organization can't move forward. So can you beat that feeling of what I do is so important? It means a lot. Project managers have to listen to me because, my role sits below and reports into the Office of Strategy, the CFO's office, the MD of Technology's office. So it's the strategicness of the role that I really enjoy as well. And the other thing I found that I like within project management is the interaction. I get to speak to people like Dr. Bola Daisa BA, You know, I get to speak and work with them. I get to speak and work with people like CG, that is a business change manager. I get to speak with the development team that are very technical. And, you know, sometimes I'm really like, actually, Jack, cool it down. What does that acronym mean? Do you get? Because, you know, I'm non-technical, and every technical project I join is new to me. So there's some acronyms, even after being in the industry for long, I don't know about. I do a quick, you know, I do a quick learning around it by either shouting out and asking questions or finding out by myself. But that's the life we are in now. We're constantly learning. Where you decide not to learn, you cannot develop. So that's what I really love about project management. And I think I also love the fact that I didn't feel like when I had to transition into project management, I didn't feel like I had to let go of all my past skills from being a lawyer. Because I don't want you guys to feel like you're, especially for career changes, like your past experience doesn't matter. It doesn't. It does rather. If someone is telling you it doesn't matter, you shouldn't put in your CVs. That is not right. What they should be telling you is how you should marry it up so that you know it's actually telling a story, because they're looking for those skills that someone else is telling you not to put in. So I really like the fact that I could move some of those skills into a project management environment. And when I'm talking about the skills now, I'm talking about communication skills, because as a project manager, even Dr. Bola spoke about speaking. CG has spoken about people. It's always about, you know, communication. Dr. Bola's role as a BA might be more people facing than someone that works within PMO, but you're still communicating with people. You're still sending written communication. For the business change managers, you're constantly having conversations. So you do need to want to like to communicate in any of these roles. I like the fact that I could leverage that communication skill, my organization skills, problem solving skills. And I think what I love the most about it is the fact that I'm able to be critical about things before, you know, I like the fact that I can be analytical. Oh, we have raised this issue, or we've raised it. So within project management, there's something called risk management. And what is a risk? A risk is something that has a probability of impacting a project negatively. You know, most times it's negatively, right? So let's even say you had a project and your project is getting married in 2014. Or let's just say your project is my wedding in 2014. Now, one of the risks that you raise around that would be, oh, in my rain is forecasted to rain on that day. And now, before it rains on that date, you are now trying to mitigate the risk. Mitigate the risk, meaning you're trying to reduce that probability that it would rain, right? And so I love the fact that before all that is done, I'm working proactively to ensure that that does not affect the project. So is that success behind being able to manage things to now contribute to the end success of the project? One core thing I've been involved in my career is around process improvements. There was a public sector organization that I came into, and I had to, you know, bring in a methodology framework. I had to then also introduce a stage gate process. I'm sorry, I'm telling you guys all this terminology that some of you might not be aware of, but maybe it's something for you to note down and learn. A stage gate process basically is a governance tool. It is a tool that they use to check the projects as they go to ensure that they are meeting to the objectives that they were created for. Now, going through that process wasn't so much fun, you know, in terms of the fact that you would have people that would push back and have people that have a really strong view. You would have that in every organization. But what do I love the most about process improvements and coming to launch processes is the fact that I start with people that I need to, you know, I need to convert, I need to negotiate, I need to apply tact and diplomacy with, but I'm still set on this is what works best for us. I've been able to be the key person that drives those kind of changes is a really good thing. I go to work feeling, oh wow, I introduced this process that is now being rolled out into the ops into the operations department and into every other department. That is really rewarding. So that was my quick answer. I was trying to be short. Tell me if I was short enough. Probably not. So now we'll move to the next question. But before I move to the next question, I was going to ask everybody on the call to just give thumbs up if you're loving, you're getting some valid points. Just give a thumbs up to our guest speakers so that they know that, they're eating the points that they should be eating. And honestly, I've not said this yet, but I really appreciate them for their time. Time is the most precious thing. I appreciate you guys for joining, but I appreciate them more so for making themselves available, because these are really busy people. To get these dates from them, I had to have started planning this since December. So believe you me, this was in the works since December, trying to get dates in their diary. So thank you so much for giving your time. So I just wanted us to go through the answer from the polls. Then I'll look at some of the chats within the Q&A so that we don't miss any comments that go with what we've just discussed. So within the polls, we asked the question, and the question was, please share what motivates you to explore a career in tech, even if you don't have a tech background. And it looks like we had a few options. We had some people want to move into tech because of growth and development. Some people like the flexibility and work-life balance. Some people like the financial potential. Some people like career change and career growth. But obviously, it looks like there was a bit of, they were close up to each other. So a lot of people want to move into tech even if they don't have a technical background because of growth and development. But the winner is definitely career potential. The tech industry offers good career paths with a good earning potential. So I see you guys are all about the money, right? Obviously, we are all about the money. We do have bills to pay. But I think what is the icing on the cake is being able to have that earning potential and being able to say, I'm in a career that I've grown in and I love to do, I enjoy doing, I feel very important doing it, is the most important thing. I do not sign up for people that just work to make money, because you do have to enjoy what you do. Right, so quickly to the questions, or to the comments rather. Tunde Sam asked how we can connect. So I'm reading the questions from bottom up, so bear with me. How can we connect with Dr. Bola and CG? Now, I had preempted these questions before we joined, but I think what we will do is, Dr. Bola and CG, if you're okay with sharing your details, are you able to just send the, I'm trying to think, are you able to share on the chat? So there's a chat for the internal people within the organization to pick up your emails. If you share within the chat, not the Q&A, then we can have the guys on the team help us to just paste it into the Q&A. So you can, just share what you are comfortable sharing. I would employ you to think through it. Most times I always suggest emails. They're easy to manage. And then when people want from the emails, you can then decide if you need a more in-depth discussion and then you want to share your number. But I as a rule, because I keep telling people I have, I would say I'm time poor. I have got so much I'm doing. I try to manage my time the most I can. So I would always want to reach out via email. Where I have people that want to speak to me face to face and they book a consultation is because they have something they need to speak about, and cannot be solved by email. Right. So going back to the thank you, Dr. Bola. Dr. Bola sent her details, and we'll be sharing it shortly. Just letting you guys know that Dr. Bola is the convener for an organization called Next Generation Business Analysts. So she, if you wanted to reach out to her, she would have shared her details. And CJ has also shared his details. We'll be sharing it on the chat. So just give it a couple of minutes for the team to pick it up and share. CG has also been really kind to share his email. Thank you. Dr. Bola, please, before you share Dr. Bola's details, I want to ask Dr. Bola, are you sure about your details? She knows why I'm saying that. Are you sure? Because I know Dr. Bola is on calls till 12 sometimes. The way that she just gives is something else. And I think for me as well, you know, I'm giving my time, and there's a lot of people that give their time to get people to where they want to be. But I want us to appreciate people's time and value it. I think for me, when I see someone come through with wanting to start the journey and actually completing it, I'm really pleased. But then there are few people that would keep shopping, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be blunt or tell some people off, yeah, and I don't know why, but it might be just to motivate you. Some people would shop for a year, you know, they'll keep sitting on the bench. And for me, I'm just thinking, just do it. Be driven. If you want something, go for it. Why talk to different people and confuse yourself more? You know, just make up your mind already. So Dr. Bola and CJ have shared their details. You've got it on in the, you know, we'll be sharing it in the Q&A section. If you guys wanted to talk to me, what we do with these webinars is for people that attend, you're able to book a 15 minutes free consultation with me, and we can have a conversation. If you wanted to book that, please join we've got a WhatsApp group you can join. So please, if you join the WhatsApp group, via the WhatsApp group, you can send your request for a free career consultation. You can also reach out to us via DM if you're on Instagram. There's several ways to reach out to us, and of course, we've shared the email for the company as well. So now, quickly going back to the Q&A and your comments, T Dot is asking for the link to the WhatsApp group. Oh, sorry. I hope we've not shared Dr. Bola's details yet. If we have, Dr. Bola would only want our email shared. So please do not share the number. Just share the email. I cannot see the chats, but Tokwe, Appy, can you just reach out to me to let me know that it's just Dr. Bola's email we have shared.
If they've shared the number, they should just leave a text message or a voice message, because if you call, I won't pick you, obviously, if I don't have your details. Yeah. So it might just be a waste of time. But if you send in like a WhatsApp chat or like a voice message, I could respond to it. The reason why I said that was because my email, sometimes I don't check it that frequently because I'm on different calls, so I might just miss it somewhere. So yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's why you put your number. Okay. Also, that's sort of a preference. Then, guys, let me tell you something as well. It's about, you know, the fact that around here things are a bit different. I personally appreciate when you reach out to me via WhatsApp first, because if you call me, I might be in a meeting, and then you get a bit frustrated that you've been trying to reach me. But if you introduce yourself quickly via WhatsApp and say, I'm trying to reach you, when is the best time? That really works for me. So that's another way you can reach Dr. Bola. But Bola, I don't think that the number has been shared. In that case, it would just be the email. But it's, you know, it's what you prefer, really.
I've also shared my LinkedIn details, so people can join on LinkedIn.
Okay. So guys, you can connect with CG on LinkedIn. Please pick up the link and follow him on LinkedIn, and you can connect with him there. So some people have asked, yeah, so I've solved that question already. Oh, someone has said, this person, T-Door. I'm sure, I don't know if that's your name because it sounds like a nickname, but I like you. You're a sharpshooter. You know where you're going. CG, T-Door is saying that it would appreciate if you accept his invitation to connect. He couldn't send you a DM because it's not on premium. Tido, you can do trial premium now, or don't they do trial? I'm giving you a tip there if you've not explored that. But CG, if you please accept his invitation to connect, That'll be great. Aruna says, thanks, CG. So for you guys, CG's name is not C and J, just so that you know, in case you try and reach out to him separately. Is a Yoruba name, and perhaps I'm not pronouncing well enough, so we know that it's not CJ, it's CG, SIJI. Right, so going on to seeing the other comments that we have here. So yeah, because I just don't want to miss it. I think Oluchi said that, so Dr. Bola, sorry, Oluchi's degree was not what you did, it was what CG did. She also read mass communication. Mass communication is a really good course. And it's funny how you think that your university experience can now be something you can bring into your future career, right? So we've shared the link to the WhatsApp group. We shared the link, you know, how to connect with the speaker so far. We can move on to our next question. For all the questions that people have asked, we'll kind of cool box it till we get to the Q&A session. You know, we've had different questions. We would definitely treat it. So please, I'm not ignoring it. I'm not ignoring it at all. We are just moving it on to that section. Okay, so quickly, we're going to answer 2 more questions or so. And then we would move into the Q&A. So the next question, guys, and I might perhaps go first this time. Let's see. What are the key strengths that non-technical people can bring to a technical project management environment? I'll go first, just because every time you guys are talking, I'm itching to say something. So I'll go first this time. So when we're talking about the key strengths and skills that non-technical people can bring to project management, I'll talk around project management. And I know that CG and Dr. Bola will cover business analysis and change roles. Within project management, there's definitely a need and a demand for non-technical people to come and blend in their soft skills, right? And there's no way someone like me with a legal background would have been able to get into tech and stay there and progress with it, if not that they're looking for those valuable skills and strengths. So some of the key ones are communication and collaboration. You know, from whatever role you find yourself, some of you in your prior careers before you relocated, you were sales managers, you were, I've seen people that have been sales managers, I've seen people that work within the risk arm of a bank, I've seen customer service advisors within a bank. That communication that you've been using, and communication is more of communication is a skill that I think is across board. It's a renowned skill that everyone needs. So the communication from my legal background definitely helped me within project management. Just being able to look at complex things and articulate it, negotiate with people within the project, manage stakeholders, and within project management, you work with diverse stakeholder groups. So when I mean stakeholders, your customers, right? And you work with the junior stakeholders, that's people that are junior in the team, middle stakeholders, you work with very senior people that call the shots, and you have to manage them in different ways. So I really like that I could bring that on. I also like the fact that I could bring on my ability to collaborate, because as a lawyer, you are constantly working with your client and working with other people within your firm to get a successful judgment from the court. The other thing, I'll just cover 2 more things so that I can let the other guest speakers speak. The other key strengths and skills I think people can bring into, non-techies can bring into project management is organization and time management. I know some people that they have their own businesses. You're self-employed, or you've had your side also. You have to be organized. You have to manage your time. There are people that work as event coordinators. There are people here that, you would think, oh, I have no skill. Maybe I'm a stay-at-home mom. But as a parent, you have organization and time management skills already, because you manage a child's time on their behalf. You put into your calendar the different dates for doing things in school. You've got those organizational and time management skills already. And I had it already for managing legal cases and all of that. And the other thing that I think is a key skill is your ability to think critically and solve problems, right? So as a lawyer, you always have to analyze a situation. Your client tells you this happens, then you have people come and give you facts, and you have to be able to look at the facts from hearsay. So you have to be able to think critically. You have to be a problem solver. That's a key thing to bring on. So I think I would just let CG speak next.
Okay. Thanks. Can you hear me? Am I clear? Okay.
Yes.
So I think for me, in terms of what you bring, I think I had mentioned of things is being able to step back and be logical about what works for the business. Ultimately, as a project person, whether you're a project manager, you're a BA, you're a change manager, you're a trainer, whatever it is that you do on a project, ultimately, you're there for the business. Ultimately, you're there to ensure that the business can actually achieve its goals. A project doesn't function in silo. It is part of a bigger, wider organizational strategy or plan. So you're part of that. And one of the things that you can bring on board as a non-techie is to be able to stand back and be on the side of the business to make sure that the business gets the best from the whole, everything that they're delivering. So the techie guys are doing what they need to do. You're the guy standing back, whether you're a PM, whether you're making, because again, PMs, for instance, like someone like Lara, what she said, they're managing budgets, they're managing resources, they're managing people's time and all that kind of stuff. So all those things all come together. If as a PM, you don't manage resources very well, people are going to get laid off on the project. The project will not achieve its goals. So you've got to, in as much as you're on that project, you've got to also think for the business as you're doing what you're doing. And I think that's what, as non-techies, we can bring onto projects, is being able to stand on the side of the business and help the business drive to completion what the project should be doing. In as much as the techie guys are going ahead and doing their stuff at full blast, we're guiding them through that journey and taking the entire business through the journey so they can arrive at where they need to arrive. I think that's the most important part of it for me. That's the most important thing. Then the other thing I was going to mention was also when you get onto a project or when you get into this project environment, if there's anything you don't understand, if there's anything you don't know, learn. Try and learn that stuff. Try and learn. If you have to Google, if you have to, I'm going to be a bit funny now. When I first started on projects, right? When I don't know stuff, I would go pick up what I don't know. Sometimes I'll go into the toilet. No, seriously, this is being very, very factual. I'll go into the toilet and I will sit down there on the toilet, sit down. I'm a Christian. The first thing I will do is I will pray. I was okay, fine. I don't know, I have a clue what to do here, but I've got to do this stuff because I've told them I know how to do it anyway. So I've got to prove it. I will do that. Second, I had some guys on speed dial on my phone. I would call them, and that's where someone like Lara comes into play. I will call them on speed dial and I'll say, you know what? It has happened. I need to deliver this in the next hour or two, and I need someone to just talk me through what to do. No, seriously, I'm being very, very, very factual, very open with you. And I did that, but I didn't do it I didn't do it for years. I did it maybe for first 1 or 2, 3 months of getting onto the project. And then I got my head around it. I told you guys earlier on my background. And I brought my background into my job as a project person. And I don't know why I'm acting about building your confidence around not thinking that you're not good enough to do it. I don't know why I'm going in that direction, but I just feel that some people here who think, oh, I can't deliver this thing because I feel I don't know it. And you can. I got onto my first real major gig. I was asked to put together a comms plan. Now, remember what I told you about where I came from in terms of working within the media sector, the brand management sector, activations, and all that kind of stuff. I brought that into my project, and I wanted to do activations using people and stuff and all that, like I would have done in my other previous world, because that was what I thought it would be all about. But I got it wrong. And when I got it wrong, the program director called me into the room and said, "Oh, CG, you actually got that wrong. This is how I think you need to do it." And I began to learn actively from that point going forward. And I'm where I am today, you know. So you're gonna miss it in some instances, you're gonna get it right in some instances, but you've got to just commit yourself to learning and knowing more and learning. Challenges will come, but you've just got to keep your head down and just learning. So for me, basically, that is where this whole thing comes together for me, is that ability to sit, you know, on the side of the business and help the business deliver what it needs to deliver, using my skill of, you know, whether it is stakeholder management or just managing people generally. Thank you.
Thanks so much, CG. Really good points. And guys, if you notice, CG is really sharing with us, and he's sharing a lot. And I think he's doing that because he just wants you guys to normalize some things. Instead of going in with trepidation and not actually, you know, not actually getting into what you should get into, is trying to put you at ease to say, actually, this has been a journey, and it would, you know, it's a journey everyone has gone through, and you would go through it and you would overcome. You know, you can do this, really is the message. T. Dor said, "Thank you for being brutally honest. These are things you would never learn in any school." So true. AK said, practical approach. Tunde Sam has a question. Tunde Sam, you have a few questions. So I think we would ask your questions at the Q&A session. I know with time, we're looking very slim on time. So I think what we'll do is we'll take just one last question amongst the guest speakers, so that we can answer the questions you guys have within the Q&A section. So someone said, Femi Togo said, "I agree. I also had people who taught me on speed dial the first few projects I went on. I took lunch and called them." So I think another thing that I have noticed is, not only do you have to want to learn on the job, you have to also be very fast thinking, be smart. And to be honest, I can't even tell you to be smart, because I know all of us have that. We are very resilient. We're very fast thinking from where we are from. You know, we are fast thinking. So don't be presented with a situation and don't look for alternatives around it. You know, there were days, and for me, it's always about managing expectations. So there are times I'm being given a task and I'm like, wow, this is beyond me. And I'm even telling you this has happened to me, not in my recent career, you know, journey, not in my past career journey or early career, even recently. Obviously, being in a senior role, they give you more things to do. Some of them strategic, you are thinking. For instance, when I was given that methodology framework to roll out, and when I was given the state gates process, I'm like, oh my goodness, right? I've never done something so big. But what did I do? Trust me now. I came with my PowerPoint of my plan for a plan first, when I was still kind of exploring what I wanted to do. So you guys have to be really fast thinking around how you present yourself and how you overcome those, because you would be faced with those situations. But trust me, it won't be more than what you know or what you can learn, because everything is learnable. There's nothing that is hidden, that is a secret knowledge that is just within certain people. Do you get what I mean? Leverage people around you. If you're going to do training around this, get trainers, or train with organizations where they give really good post-training support, so that when you land the job and you need help, you're reaching out to them. They're listening to you. Build a network. Don't just talk with people that are like you. Talk to people like CJ and Dr. Bola and myself that have been there. Right. So quickly, just in case I've missed anything else. Okay, so there's a few questions here. There's a few questions.
I think Dr. Bola hasn't answered that question, have you?
No.
No.
Finish up.
Yeah, I was trying to. Thank you, CG. Dr. Bola hasn't answered, but I don't want to miss any contribution that someone outside of their questions. Some people have comments, but guys, to be honest, I think it's tricky as well, keeping track of what you guys have put here. Theodore is saying that she's a she. Oh, because I said you're a sharpshooter and I thought you were a guy. No, I should have known it's a woman that will be a sharpshooter like that. I knew where she was going and, she's going for it. Well done. I like that. I actually like when people are, very driven. In fact, there was someone in my work that the way she kept after me, obviously it's quite difficult to get me, but she kept at it. And I like that determination. So guys, go into this with determination that this is what I want and I would go after it. Don't dilly-dally. Lovia said that please send the details of the facilitators. So guys, Happy Akitunde Tokwe, if you could please share again, just for people that have just joined. So I'm just going to move on to asking Dr. Bola to answer the question, and we'll take one last question so that we can take Q&A. So I apologize for the time, because I think the time has quite, with the time has gone really quickly, and they say when you're having fun, time goes really quickly. So Dr. Bola, can you please answer that question around, the strengths that you think, non-technical people can bring on?
Thank you very much, Laura, and CG, for answering that. You guys have said a lot, and I don't want to repeat, part of what you've said. You've talked about communication, you've talked about facilitation, like collaboration and all that. But I think what I want to emphasize on, for me, especially because it applies to my role as a BA, is not just the critical thinking aspect, it's the skill. Let me just put it, you being inquisitive. That is key for me, because as a BA, you have to be inquisitive. Now, your backbook colleague Bebon, right? It's not like the Bebon that, like that doesn't have direction on you, or you're just trying to poke your nose into even things that are not your business. You know how some of us are actually very good, with things like that. You want to know what's happening in your environment. You want to know your neighbor has just moved. You have a new neighbor, those kind of things, or you've just observed, okay, they've just changed. Why didn't you just apply it to, like, it's a good skill, because why didn't you find a career that you can, apply this to? And as a BA, you have to be able to ask questions. You have to be able to, like, ask the right questions, because if you don't ask the question, you will never get to the root of it. And this is one of the things that we're talking about. It's called the root cause analysis. You need to be able to understand the root cause of, if the organization is having an issue, you want to get deep down. You don't want to just scratch the surface. Because if you scratch the surface today and you just try to, maneuver things and just sellotape things and move on, it will bite back. It will bite back tomorrow, because they'll find out that you didn't really get to the, the source of the problem. You need to identify the source of the problem, where it's happening, understand, okay, what the pain points are, and be able to address it, call it out and be able to, address it, speak to stakeholders and all that. And that's where, things around root cause analysis will come in, 5 whys, asking the right questions and all that. And just like what CJ, there's so many, strategic thinking is part of it. You have to be able to negotiate. You're negotiating with, the stakeholders, you're negotiating with vendors, you're negotiating with developers. You need to be able to negotiate. And also problem solver, you need to be able to solve. Some of us are very good at solving problems, even in our homes, with the kids, like even things around. You can actually bring that skill, as a non-technical person into this. You have to be ability to solve problems as well. Interpersonal relationship, you can't emphasize, you can't, dwell on that too much, because you need to be able to have that relationship with your colleagues, because sometimes some people, it feels like there's a barrier between you and them because you've not penetrated you. That's why we talk about difficult stakeholders. Difficult stakeholders, they might not be so difficult. You have to be able to know how to catch them, how to get the information from them, what to do to be able to elicit that. Because sometimes some of them, you go to someone, I know a situation where, someone has just started working in a place, and then he went to stakeholder. Basically, you're a BA, you can't have the knowledge. So you have your skills, right? You have your experience and everything that you've brought. But in terms of that organization and the problems that they have to tell you what that problem is, and then you have to be able to document and help them. You should be able to ask the question. But she went to the stakeholder, and the stakeholder was like, you just gave one surface answer and just said, that's why you're here, sort it out. That kind of, those people are quite difficult. But I mean, like, you have to be able to have the skills to be able to interact. Sometimes it might just be just a little hello or just a little, you know, that interpersonal relationship is very good, where you're able to interact with people even outside, you know, the workshops and the meetings. Your ability to be able to communicate, break the ice, you know, like even if you have to go on site to do something, you don't have to, because I know that some of us actually, maybe because of our skin color, we just feel like, oh, these people, you cannot approach them, you cannot talk. You have to talk to them. They're not angels from heaven. They are people like you and I. So you have to be confident. And one of my friends got a job today. I told him, even before he got that job, his confidence level is something else, you know. You might not even have the experience that you did. I just say that? I just whispered that. You might not have it, right? But that confidence, when you talk to them, you're very, you know, like they can literally touch the experience because you've internalized it, you've made it yours. So be confident. That confidence, when people are selling it, like they just go on shows and you bring it to the workplace, talk to your boss, talk to people, interact with people, get information you want. Don't just, because I've also realized that organizations or people, they don't like you when you're not, you know, like when you're isolated, you're in meetings, you're not contributing, you're not talking, you're just feeling like, you know, you're not part of. No, you have to integrate with people. You have to talk to them. They also want to know about your culture. They want to know about your background. They want to know about how things work in Africa. You should be able to, some of them, because you've had that communication with them, because they enjoy that company with, because they like you. They want to also visit Africa to say, oh, I like Lara because my colleague Lara said this about Africa. I think on my next vacation, I want to, you've done something, you know. So just adding to what CJ and Lara said, there are so many skills that you can bring on board, and I'm very sure that you'll be able to make a difference in the organization. And I'm sure that Lara will be able to help you, you know, with that when you sign up for, you know, the Accelerate Academy. Thank you. Lara, go on. Sorry.
Thanks so much, Bola. Guys, we've had such a good time, and I know that we are past time, and, you know, the people here that need to, you know, they need to move on to the next thing. But I wanted us to take the Q&A, you know. But before we took the Q&A, I wonder if there are people asking, okay, you've been speaking about this. How specifically do we move into these industries? So I'm just going to quickly list the options of how you can move, whether as a career changer or as a beginner, and then we'll go into the Q&A, right? And then Dr. Bola and CG can just add anything if I haven't covered it. So in terms of how you can move out of what you're doing now into a career in tech, whether in project management, change management, or business analysis, you definitely have to close the gap. I always advise people that your quickest way to close that gap is usually to do a training, an hands-on training. That closes the gap a little bit. You have to do a lot of self-learning, put in your time. Go on all the learning sites. Read more about project management, read more about business analysts, read more about, you know, business change management. Close the gap doing all these things. So you're not doing one or the other. You're doing a continuous self-learning. You're signing up for a training program. There are lots of training programs now. So please, guys, don't just go with anything on the internet because there's lots of them, right? Just be sure you're doing your research, right? We always canvas that you would go with my brand because I know the value I provide. But where people decide, oh, they want to go with another person, I'm usually one of the people that is quicker to say, okay, I wish you luck because it's fine. It's still the same journey. And I have people come back to me and say, oh my God, I finished with them and they did this, or what they trained was completely different from what they told me. Just be sure who you are going to. The other thing is try and get work experience. How can you do that? You can do that by freelancing, Upwork. But to be honest, those sites, it takes a while to start getting in the jobs. But that might be a way to get that, that experience you're looking for. Try to do freelancing, try to get work experience. You can get that sometimes when you do some of the training programs. Try and see if you can shadow people around you that are close to you and you can shadow them in their work environment. That helps you as well. There are a few programs within the UK that people might not be aware of. They're called Returners Program. They're targeted at people that have had a career break. So if you've had a career break and you're trying to integrate back into the workplace, there are actually programs for that. I've just said that really quickly because of time. There guys, did you have anything else you wanted to add around what I, how, specific ways they can enter, these specific areas?
I think you've covered it, Laura, to be honest.